Okay, Ralph. I hope you're buckled in because we're in for a bumpy ride. It looks more and more like what has happened in America in the last 10 years or so with Trump and with the extreme, bizarre, and in the end, empty and performative reaction, resistance to Trump. Is happening here. It's going to happen here to your country, and I'm excited to see what you think of it. The first, I guess, really ugly part of this resistance has happened. You've seen it in the news. It's the new single, the top new hot pop single by Danger Dan and the Dangerettes. You've seen the controversy. I'll explain the controversy for the Americans, and then I'll tell you what I think about it. It's what it is. It's a single. It's a song by I guess it's a duo called Danger Dan, and they wrote a song called Kinda Angst, or Don't Be Afraid, basically. And the lyrics are all about how to organize into small underground, basically terror groups or resistance groups, and to undermine the government or to resist the government or to destroy, infrastructure and parts of the government and fight against the government. And that's basically all it is. And there's nothing poppy or songy about it. It's just a straight out. It just tells you, organizing groups. Don't give your group a name. Don't tell anyone about it. Leave no fingerprints. Leave no digital, footprint. Do everything. Don't do anything online. And get to these people and do this. So that's all it is. It's just telling people how to organize into groups, into resistance groups against government. It doesn't really tell us why, but of course we know why. It's the conservative, maybe the ultra-conservative, maybe even far-right party, AFD, has become very popular. It's probably in polls, it has about 1/3 of the vote. And that would indicate that in the next government or very soon, they will be either involved in the government or they may even have the absolute majority and make the government themselves. So a lot of people are really worried about this. Politicians, their political rivals, and the press, kind of the very leftist tendency press, have painted them and are painting them consistently as kind of without saying those words, as a Nazi group, basically, and a threat to democracy. And just like, Biden and all the Democrats were saying about Trump, this is about a threat to democracy. Democracy itself is, and they're using that word. The left in Germany is using those words. We are democracy. They're not democracy. So they should be forbidden. They should be banned. So it's not a question of voting for them, because if 1/3 of all Germans want to vote for them, that's kind of democracy. That's kind of how democracy works. But they should be banned, illegal, so that no one can vote for them, because that's their definition of democracy. Okay, well, okay, so that's what's going on, and it looks like that's going to happen. We have the current government has a term for the next 3 years. It may last 3 years. It may break down in the next year or two. At some point, though, we're going to have new elections, and it's very possible that the AFD will be part of the new government. Okay, so that's what the leftists are worried about. So this song comes out, this pop song comes out, and it says how to organize into groups for the resistance. And of course, we've all seen what resistance is in America. It's some guys go nuts and actually, assassinate conservative voices, like Charlie Kirk and something. So they turn to actual violence. They don't change anything, of course. Trump still won the next election, the second term, and democracy still works. They voted him in, they voted him out. But but there's a romance to being the resistance, anti-Nazi resistance. Finally, we can fight the Nazis. They're back. We can fight them now. And of course, people in Germany want to think of themselves not as Nazis, which their grandparents were, but as anti-Nazis. If I had been alive back then, I wouldn't have done what my grandparents did and become a Nazi. I would have fought against the Nazis. They're kidding themselves, of course. It's like the woke or the left in America, is thinking, if I call everyone a racist, then that will make me into the kind of person who, if I had lived during slavery, I would not have owned slaves. Oh, I would have been one of the good ones. Okay, so it's bullshit, of course. Okay, so anyway, there's this pop song, and it's kind of typical for a certain kind of German understanding about pop music. And there's a certain area in pop music, a certain subset of pop musicians in Germany who think of music as basically a political act, and you have to preach to your listeners. That's music. So that's what it does. It really is. It reminds me, the content reminds me a lot of the Anarchist Cookbook, which would be the parallel in America. Of course, the Anarchist Cookbook in the 70s, early 70s, was much more radical. It was an instruction, it was a printed instruction about how to build bombs, how to, destroy communication of the government, how to resist the government with violence, with real violence, and also how to make your own LSD at home. So I think probably half of the people who bought the Anarchist Cookbook back then were really just drug dealers, looking to how to make their own LSD. And the creator of that book, the writer of the book, a guy named Powell, he later became, a conservative Christian, I think, an anarchist, maybe even an anarchist minister, not anarchist, an Anglican, an Anglican minister, and he tried to withdraw the book, but he'd already sold the rights to a publisher. The publisher kept publishing, et cetera, et cetera. There were attempts to ban the book, but freedom of speech, right? In America, you could not ban it. And of course, the Americans were far more extreme than here, the leftists here. This guy is just saying, well, we should. Yeah, see, this is all crap here. Hold on. Here's another Danger Dan video. Okay. Here in Germany, this guy, Danger Dan, it just tells you a thing that basically everyone knows. If the police talk to you, don't tell them anything. If you're resisting the government, it doesn't actually tell you how to make LSD. The song. So, but imagine if like a Trump, a conservative like Kid Rock, had made a song like this. Maybe the exact same lyrics. After Trump lost the election in, after his first term, if Kid Rock would make a video like this, the newspapers would just be outraged. That would be fascism. That would be a sign for them that the Nazi system is coming. But here in Germany, people are a little bit outraged. They were thrown out of the a TV channel. They were scheduled to perform the song on a state-run, state-financed TV channel, ZDF, but at the last minute, the ZDF listened to the lyrics and said, "We can't do this," and they threw them out again. But imagine that a Trump supporter had written this song. It would just be outrage. But because a leftist did it, it's okay. It's kind of popular. It's doing the right thing. Violence and violent resistance against a democratically elected government is okay when the left does it, because the left are so intelligent and wise and understand everything about how the world should work, that when they do violence, it's for a good cause. And this is a thing that I've seen in German history and German politics and German society since the Nazis. I mean, the Nazis justified their violence for the same reasons, because they knew they were doing the right thing. And the 70s, the RAF, the RAF, the Baader Meinhof group, the terror group, which killed and kidnapped people and put bombs and for many years, they published manifestos justifying their violence because they were doing the right thing. And so if you're doing the right thing, it's okay to kill people. If you're doing the right thing, it's okay to, go against the government and fight the government and try to undermine the government that is democratically elected, because that's true democracy. And some of the left in Germany is even using this word. True democracy is not letting the opposite party, this extreme conservative party, take part in elections. True democracy is stopping the democratic process when it gets, when it's not my opinion. So, I don't know. It's just funny to me that the same thing that's happening or has happened in the U.S. is coming to Germany. I would think that if the AfD gets into power, there may be some terror groups, there may be some assassinations, there may be some true violence, mainly by idiots who, think who haven't seen much of the world and are fall victim to the press reports that that stir up this hysteria that the AfD is going to be the next Nazi party. I think it's just like the conservative parties that took over in Italy, which has not become a Nazi party, in Hungary, which did not stop democracy. Trump did not stop democracy. Nothing stopped democracy. It's going to be the same thing here. I believe, could be wrong. Who knows? But you're going to be in for a bumpy ride for the next couple of years.